So this was the latest film from David Cronenberg, legend of body horror, who of course did things like The Fly and Videodrome, Crash, and others. We've reviewed his previous film, Crimes of the Future. Now comes The Shrouds, another kind of futuristic techno dystopian movie. It stars Vincent Cassel as Karsh. He is a tech mogul who is in the last few years lost his beloved wife Becca to cancer. In a kind of more morbid entrepreneurial endeavor, he has developed these death shrouds that allow you to see your loved one after they've been buried. The shroud envelops them, and you can see their entire body and their face. You can kind of watch them as they decay via an app and monitors. They have this graveyard that has screens on the headstones, so you can come and visit and mourn it and actually see your decaying dead one. Very grim and morbid thing, and this is all explained while Karsh is on a date, and he's like, "Oh, let me show you my graveyard. Let me show you my dead wife," and he's clearly not ready to be dating, not over his dead wife at all. One day, his cemetery is vandalized by an unknown assailant or group of assailants. They smash the headstones. They steal data. He gets locked out of the technology. He's locked out of the app, out of the video feeds, all of it. They're trying to keep it hush hush. So we can't let the clients know. There's some sort of conspiracy going on. Is it the Russians? Is it the Chinese? Why are they doing this? Meanwhile, he has relationships with his some side characters. Becca's surviving sister, also played by Diane Kruger, another friend or his brother-in-law / tech guy for his company, played brilliantly by Guy Pearce, and more. So it explores obviously the theme of death and mourning, and this big mystery of what's really going on and who's behind this sabotage. That's our setup. Zach, what'd you think?
Is my goat washed? Is Cronenberg cooked? Has he gone too far? I don't think so, right? I think that's the big question people are walking into Shrouds with, because Cronenberg has quite the filmography. He's done incredible work, and of much of his stuff, mostly body horror and like brutal themes. Like this has that stuff in it for sure, but it's dialed back. And most of the Shrouds is people talking in rooms. For the first half, I actually thought it'd make a great play, and it turns out it didn't start as a film. It started as a Netflix pitch. Cronenberg had talked to Netflix about doing a small series where this lead character, Karsh is his name, right? Would basically travel to different sites around the world, setting up the shrouds, like for different people, and meet like a rich elite who's got this problem with his wife, or this other person who this person passed away and they're really meaningful. And it would kind of be like this 8-episode thing. And Netflix loved the pitch, and then he wrote 2 episodes for him, and they were like, nah, this isn't doing it for us. So he adapted it into what we have here. And it is deeply personal. It is deeply personal. In 2017, Cronenberg's wife passed away. And Cronenberg, like our lead here, dresses the same and talks the same. Vincent Cassel actually much based it on Cronenberg. The haircut is nearly the same. Not quite as coiffed, Cronenberg says in interviews, but even his accent is supposed to be close to Cronenberg. So it is very much, this is like Cronenberg talking about his wife, right, and her passing. And it's painful because Karsh, like Cronenberg, in a very one-to-one relationship between character and writer, is an atheist. He does not believe in an afterlife. So the idea that your lover has passed away and that you truly will never see them again is really painful. And so having this like voyeurism, corpse voyeurism, I think they call it in the movie, where you can watch your loved one decay via like technology and screens, is so like right out of Videodrome. It's body horror. Like that's all the best stuff of Cronenberg. But it's also 2 hours of people just talking in rooms and like weak CGI because they didn't have a great script, and the lighting is real soft, and there's like the set design's okay, but like our actors are real limited, and it's just like, oh no, dog. Like a lot of this it's not as provocative as his older work. It seems like there's just a lack of general energy and enthusiasm. Part of it is because I think the themes are so dark and so personal. But the other part is, I know he's getting older, man. Like, and that's okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like, it just ends up being a long 2 hours. It's a long feature, and I think a lot of people are praising it as like masterwork. I am not quite in that camp. I think it's good, but I think it's not for everyone.
I think the ideas are very interesting. This idea of mourning by being able to see your loved one decay, and the bigger the kind of the long game of this is that he's like, oh, I want to be buried right next to her, and you will like we will both just be. I mean, like in any cemetery, we will be together forever in this place, and at that point, no one will be watching. But the ideas of grief and how we experience it and how we deal with it, that's interesting stuff. The execution is kind of weak. One of the
Yeah.
things that I do think is interesting is that he has managed to make several avatars of his dead wife in the real world. So he has, of course, the her grave, which he can watch and see her decay slowly over time. He still has a very close relationship with her sister, who's like an identical twin, and so it's kind of like she's still there. And he even says some weird stuff like, "Oh, you smell like her. You have her same physique." And but also he's created this AI avatar called Honey, and it looks just like his dead wife as well. So, but Honey is on his computer screens and his phone, all that kind of stuff. It's like he's absolutely unable to let her go and kind of move on, and he's continuing to mourn, but kind of in a really toxic way.
It's so painful too because there's these fantastic dream sequences where you can see this sort of active like decay, this woman that's falling apart, like as she was going through procedures and surgeries and having parts of her amputated and becoming weak, and like you can see this pain, this grief that like the character is going through and that Cronenberg was going through, and this idea, this longing of like wanting to still have some part or access to them even after they're dead and buried is like painful and sincere. And like that theme, those themes, like that stuff all works really good. It's in the execution that you run into problems. It's how the script comes to the screen that it's an issue. It's a flat looking movie. It's not, doesn't have a lot of action in it. It's pretty basic. I'm in fact impressed at how little action is in it. There's a lot of lofty conversations about other shroud sites in Reykjavik, Iceland. This surgeon that used to work with his wife, who may know a little bit more something about what's happened to her since this site was attacked and these graves were desecrated. You don't go to any of these places. You don't go to Iceland. You're never like visiting other places. Like it's all very grounded. The actual set where the shrouds are is woefully small. It's like next to this house that's supposed to be a restaurant that like you see it in the trailer and you're like, well, there's got to be more. No, that's it. That's all they've got. Like you kind of can't believe how small of scope it is for such a great idea. The dream sequences, a lot of the sincere acting stuff between like Cassel and Kruger. Kruger's great in this movie. That stuff works good, but for 2 hours, it's difficult to hold attention. Like it's just not a very kinetic looking movie. Also, I think Guy Pearce is kind of woefully underutilized. He's got a whole B plot that like I couldn't even recall. I watched this 2 days ago and I struggled to recall like the exact details of it. Like just kind of underbaked, like parts of it that just don't come together as well as they do on the page.
Yeah, there's this whole conspiracy theory of the grave sites are vandalized, the data is locked out, they can't get into it. Guy Pearce's character is called in as someone who worked on the system to try and get back in. And it's incredibly complicated because it's on a small budget. So instead of acting out scenes, they just talk about that. They're like, oh yeah, that happened and the doctor came here and he met with this person. So that's how they kind of get around a lot of it. It's a lot of telling and not showing. It's incredibly confusing and it doesn't really make any sense in the end. And I don't think it's really concerned with the kind of sabotage and espionage part about it. It's more about like grief and that. But it would be nice if the B plot mattered at all and kind of made more sense.
Yeah, there's really never a sense of like suspense. You're never on the edge of your seat, like wondering what's going to happen next. Like it's just a much more passive, relaxed ride for a couple hours about something that is really challenging. I love the influence of technology. It's a screen heavy movie, but like I think that's important because this is how we're accessing this character who's just on another plane, right? Like his wife is gone. Like we cannot get to her. But like through technology, through your phone and encrypted data and this fiber wire that's running out, like you have like just a window, like a portal. And like, I love that idea. It opens with a great visual of this, like of him kind of like looking through this like window in the ground. Like that stuff feels so Cronenberg. The design of the shrouds, right? They're like these Japanese, like inspired wrap things, like, and there's all these cameras in them. So they can generate this perfect LiDAR feed of your loved one decaying at, like, that stuff is all perfect. Like that stuff I totally see. These dream sequences I really like the body horror stuff works really good. It's just long. Like, and it just takes a long time to get there. And I hate to say a Netflix series might have been better, but maybe you could have paced it out a little better, like with episodes with more like concealed plots one by one, you know, that kind of have their own thing going on. Like, I think maybe you could have told a broader story that would have worked better. I think Shroud is indulgent, self-indulgent, almost to a fault. It is Cronenberg being brutally honest on the page about how he feels about a lot of this stuff, and then it just doesn't come over to the audience in the same way, and that ends up getting like a 3-star review, you know, and that's a shame, because I do think there's a lot of special ideas here. It just doesn't pop the way it used to, and I can't help but feel like it's because of Cronenberg's age. You know, he's getting older, man. Like, I don't even know if he's going to make another movie after this. So, yeah.
It's interesting because some directors only get better as they age. Scorsese is like that. He's only gotten better as a director in the last decade or so. But I mean, like a lot of things, a lot of directors kind of get worse as they age. So I hope he does more. I think the ideas are interesting. This is way too long. This would make a decent 90 to 100-minute film. Full 2 hours is too much. It's too slow. It's poorly paced. It's kind of boring. If you're not, you have to stay really focused on it. So it's like, yeah, it's like at this point, I'm more interested in, like, is it Brandon Cronenberg, his son?
Yes, yeah, making
I'm more interested. Yeah, I'm more interested in what he's doing now.
Yeah, I really do think there's a version of this that would work great on the stage. I really, because fundamentally that's what most of it is. Like, most of it is lack of action. It's people talking. Like, that's what I think is the thing that hurts this the most. But its themes are profound, and the setup is good. Yeah, the idea of this guy who runs this like revolutionary gravesite where you can see corpses, and then it gets attacked one night by some sort of like terroristic force, and they can't figure it out, and they can't access the cameras anymore, and they just have no idea who's behind it or what's pulling the string. Like, it's a compelling mystery at the center of really painful themes. But I think in execution, it lacks. I think it suffers. That's all. But I like it. I do like the Shrouds. Not as much as Cronenberg's other films, I don't think. But like, it'll be one I think of, I think, often when I think of Cronenberg, because I think it's very personal. It's a very personal film. And if you're into Cronenberg, it might be up your alley. Like, you might go for it in a way that I don't, I guess. Any other thoughts or recommendations, Andy?
I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend the Shrouds?
I would say soft pass on this. It didn't really work for me. There's some interesting ideas, but the execution is just kind of poor. It's too long. It's slow. It's poorly paced. It's done on a cheap budget, so they got to cut a lot of corners. There's a lot of describing scenes instead of actually having them act out. I think if you're a hardcore David Cronenberg fan like I am, I will watch everything he makes. I would say definitely check it out just as a completionist. But to the average person, even as a horror and body horror thing, it just didn't really work. So I would say soft pass, except for the hardcore fans.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. It's complicated and at times maybe overly sterile. I do think it's really authentic. I think it's very inspired by Cronenberg's life and the loss of his wife, but ultimately, like, it's maybe overcomplicated, and at over 2 hours, like, it's kind of overbaked, and I think I don't know, it doesn't have enough going for it in the turns to keep it interesting. You end up bored. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Shrouds works as well as maybe some say. But anyway, that's the Shrouds, and that's Weapons, and that's Off Script episode 303. What are we watching next week, Andy?